To answer the question, if BCMS, Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Serbian, are 4 different languages or just one language, we're going to discuss many different aspects of the issue, including the root of the controversy, linguistic differences, mutual intelligibility, and the polycentric language model. But first, let me share with you the backstory that led me to bring up this topic again. In April this year, I was invited to participate as a polyglot in a talent show called Udivitelni Ljudi, Amazing People, in Moscow. By the way, being in Moscow at that time doesn't mean I support any political decisions, or of course not the invasion of Ukraine. I decided to participate to share my appreciation for all languages and cultures with the people there. What happened during the rehearsal was quite shocking. I had provided a list of 30 languages for the TV producer to choose from. They chose 15 from that list and invited native speakers of each one. During the rehearsal, each native speaker was wearing a number, and when I reached into a bowl and pulled out a number, the person who had that number would stand up and ask me a question in his or her language. When a girl from Serbia was chosen, she asked me a question about the most interesting hotel I ever stayed at. I answered her and added, Srpsko-hrvatski je prvi slovenski jezik koji sam naučio, meaning Serbo-Croatian was the first Slavic language I learned. And then she exploded in a rage, screaming that Serbo-Croatian no longer exists, and Serbian is very different from Croatian. It was a long and crazy rant. And during the rant, I pointed out to her in Serbo-Croatian that she could understand everything I was saying. And finally, they kicked her off the stage. So why is it such a hot issue? The linguistic controversy surrounding BCMS, Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Serbian, stems from a combination of political, cultural, and historical factors that have intensified since the breakup of Yugoslavia in the early 1990s, as illustrated in these pictures. The region's turbulent history has played a significant role in shaping the strong national identities tied to each language variant.
Yugoslavia. For many, a long-forgotten, failed nation. For others, an all too painful and recent memory. A once united federation made up of 6 neighboring republics, Yugoslavia's existence was never a simple one. With constant ethnic and religious division, it seemed that it was only a matter of time before a breakup would be imminent. But was that the only cause of Yugoslavia's collapse? And how did the ethnic disputes actually lead to the destruction of an entire federation? The presence of division and discord between the different ethnic groups within the borders of Yugoslavia had existed for a long while. This was not by any means a new development within the years before the collapse of the federation, but the matter did worsen following World War II.
Language differentiation in the Balkans is as much about politics as it is about linguistics. Each country's effort to forge a distinct national identity through language often reflects broader political aims and historical narratives. The intense focus on language as a marker of national identity has led to significant efforts to differentiate these languages, both at the governmental and academic levels. The dissolution of Yugoslavia in the 1990s led to the establishment of independent states, each keen to assert its national identity, including through language. The new political realities encouraged the differentiation of what was collectively known as Serbo-Croatian into separate languages. The Bosnian Muslims have focused their efforts on creating a Bosnian language replete with Turkish and Arabic borrowings, and an insistence on strict pronunciation of the fricative velar consonant H. Croatian nationalists long objected to the term Serbo-Croatian advocating for the recognition of Croatian as a distinct language. This movement gained momentum after Croatia's independence, emphasizing unique Croatian words and expressions. For example, for airplane, the Croatians use zrakoplov, while the Serbians use avion, like in French. Zrakoplov is a compound word formed from zrak, air, and ploviti, to sail. Montenegro declared Montenegrin as the official language in 2007, introducing unique phonetic and orthographic elements to distinguish it from Serbian. Serbian proponents of the separate languages view argue that Serbian has developed its own linguistic standards, distinct from those of Croatian and the other BCMS languages. Some Serbian linguists have actively debated the future of the Serbian language, including which alphabets should be official, the orthographic rules, and the dialects to be recognized. These debates are deeply tied to national identity and political considerations within Serbia. Despite these political and cultural efforts to differentiate, the languages remain highly mutually intelligible due to their common Shtokavian dialect base. The languages collectively known as BCMS, Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Serbian, all share the Shtokavian dialect, specifically the Eastern Herzegovinian subdialect, as their foundation. This shared linguistic base is crucial for understanding why these languages are mutually intelligible and often considered by linguists as different standards of the same language. Let's look at this in more detail. First, where do the names of these dialects come from? Well, the primary dialects in the region are named after the common question word for what. Shtokavian, Shtokovsky, uses shto or shta. Chakavian, Chakovsky, uses cha or tsa. And Kaikavian, Kaikovsky, uses kai or k. Both Chakavian and Kaikavian are considered part of the Croatian linguistic heritage. They are not used in the standard language taught in schools or in the state media. However, they are still spoken in local communities and have a presence in regional literature and cultural expressions. The Shtokavian dialect is the most widespread of the South Slavic dialects and serves as a basis for the standard forms of Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Serbian. It was historically used as a lingua franca in the region due to its widespread comprehensibility across different ethnic groups. The commonality extends to grammar, syntax, and basic vocabulary, which remain largely consistent across the four standards. The choice of this subdialect was formalized in the mid-19th century during the Vienna Literary Agreement, where Serbian and Croatian intellectuals agreed to standardize their languages on this common ground. In Serbian, both Ikavian and Iekavian pronunciations are used. Ikavian is predominant in Serbia, while Iekavian is used in Montenegro, Bosnia, and parts of Croatia. Here's an example of the difference. Beautiful in Ikavian is lepo. In Iekavian, it is lijepo. So you see the E changes to IJE, the J pronounced Y, so lijepo. As you already know, English is spoken in the US, the UK, Australia, and other countries, each with its own standardized version. Likewise, German has 3 standard versions, one in Germany, one in Switzerland, and one in Austria. These are examples of polycentric languages, which recognize the diversity within a single linguistic entity without diminishing the mutual intelligibility or shared grammatical structure. BCMS fits the polycentric model as it encompasses 4 national standards: Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Serbian. Each standard has its own official dictionaries, grammar books, and usage norms, but they all share the same linguistic foundation. This means that speakers of any one of these standards can generally understand the others with little difficulty, much like speakers of British English can understand American English. Here are some examples that demonstrate how similar the languages are. In the first example, only Serbian differs from the others by not having a J in the word for German, Nemački versus Njemački. In this next example, we see that while Croatian uses the infinitive for reserve in this sentence, we have to reserve, trebamo rezervirati, in which the word have to or need to is conjugated. Serbian Montenegrin avoid the infinitive by saying it is necessary that we reserve. Treba da rezervišemo. Note that both constructions are common in Bosnian, and the second can occur in Croatian too, though some may say it is not standard for Croatian. In the third and last example, we see that only the word beautifully in Croatian is different. So now the challenge for those who know more than one of these standards, Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, or Serbian, is to offer sentences in the comments that show greater differences than these do. In conclusion, while Bosnian, Croatian, Montenegrin, and Serbian can be viewed as separate languages from a socio-political perspective, linguistically, they are considered different standards of one pluricentric language. This duality is at the heart of the debate, reflecting the complex interplay between language, identity, and politics in the region. By understanding both sides of the argument, we can appreciate the richness and diversity of the BCMS linguistic landscape. If you're curious about what the locals would say concerning this topic, I recommend you watch this video in which we ask the local people in Croatia about their perspective. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.